I just stepped out of the house to go out mushroom hunting, more to just get my blood moving. I've been editing videos all day, and my mushroom foraging video is very popular. I never know it's going to be popular. Sometimes I publish stuff and I'm like, are people going to like this? Or I just don't know. So that was interesting, but I thought I would just do a super short video on for people who don't have any experience mushroom hunting. It can be a little bit daunting, just maybe some steps you can go about to start learning mushrooms. So first of all, you need a book, because you just are going to have to key things out at some point. Whatever else you do, you need a book that's good for your region. The only ones I can really recommend are good for the West Coast, and those are David Aurora's books. Mushrooms Demystified is a really huge, thick book, and then there's a little companion book, which is a good book to just get first, called All the Rain Promises, and those are just outstanding. I mean, I don't think there's a better mushroom manual or even an equivalent mushroom manual for any other part of the world. So you'll just have to do some research on what to get for your area, but you will need a book because you're going to have to double check things, double check your own memory, and find new stuff to look up. So it's going to take a little while to start learning the terms in the book in order to be able to look stuff up, because you'll turn to a page and start reading and it's just going to be all these terms that you don't know. You'll have to slowly kind of learn those, so that's a little bit of a process. But aside from just learning a couple of super easy things, I mean really, really easy things like morels, I mean a lot of people that harvest morels don't really know the difference, between a lot of other mushrooms. So aside from that sort of thing, I mean, if you want to get into it, you just kind of need to get a book and start to learn that stuff. I think it's also great if you have someone that can show you stuff, or you have a local class like a mushroom walk or something. Definitely, I think that's great too, but nothing's going to replace that book. For me, I just, I eat the same things every year. I pass up stuff that I've been meaning to look up for years and just haven't bothered to do yet. You don't have to become an expert. You can just learn a few things that are relatively easy and choice edibles in your area. Typically they'll come back, if not every year, then every few years or something like that. As far as preserving them, some mushrooms dry well and some don't. Most of the rest will freeze okay if you cook them first. So I'll typically just saute them, put them up in small jars, put them in the freezer, and they're good for at least 6 months that way. And that's about it. Find a good book and just start learning. And if you can find someone, I think that's great too. So wish me luck. I don't really expect to find much today. I'm not going very far. Like I said, I just wanted to clear my head and get some oxygen, get my blood moving, and just smell the woods for a few minutes, because it makes me feel like a human again. I noticed how beaten this trail is right here. I don't think you can see it on camera because it looks too two-dimensional, but there's a well-beaten trail here, and the prints are very large, and that's a bear print right there. I've also seen other sign here, scat, where they're making a perimeter of my property and marking it with scat. I recently found some other spots, again with scat and along major trails, kind of marking the outside boundary of my property. How do I know this is a bear print? Because it's deep, it's heavy, obviously a heavy animal, all of it's rounded off, and it just is. It's just a bear print. And of course the size too, if you look at my hand, it's bigger than my hand. Maybe not a huge bear, probably the small one that's been hanging around. I was just cruising along here and I spotted this rock. Now I know that this rock is out of place. It's round. See how rounded it is? There's nothing like that just kind of naturally occurs, typically in this geology. And I just know that from hiking around. Now, since I've spent a lot of time doing what people call primitive technology, paleotechnics is the term I use more, primitive skills, making stone tools and using them and stuff, I'm really keyed in to this sort of thing. So to me, this sticks out like a sore thumb, like it would be pretty hard for me to walk by this and not see it while I'm looking for mushrooms. So we're just going to check this out real quick as a possible artifact. That meaning I'm just mean that it's something that someone used at some point as a tool for something. And I also know that the creek around here isn't likely to yield anything like this either. Maybe further down the creek, but not up in here. I can't tell what kind of stone it is, but it's very heavy and it looks quite hard. It's not sandstone. It's not chert. I really don't know what it is. It almost looks like a granite. But it's definitely a tool. I can tell that just looking at a couple quick things. One is that these ends are flattened off and they're bumpy. So both ends, this end, I don't know if you can see it here, and this end especially is obviously flat. Like there's a little bit of a divot here. And compared to the texture of the rest of the stone, it's very bumpy and divoted. And I'll shoot some B-roll, like close-ups of this end so you can see it here. And that means that someone either took something hard and tapped it against that to make it flat, but more likely it was used to tap something else. It's hard to say though. It could have been used to, say, like crack acorns, and was, purposely flattened on the end to be good for that, like this. Tap one acorn at a time, crack like that. So both ends exhibit that. This is smooth, but I think that all of this up here is just smooth from this being washed in a creek or something like that. Maybe not this area here, but under here is a different story. This is more smooth, so like someone, actually was using this like this to grind stuff up. It could have been used as, for processing food on a regular basis, but it's not really that smooth, and it's not smooth all the way across. So it probably was just used more incidentally for that kind of activity. Maybe on this side a little bit, but certainly on this side. And you can kind of look across it and see that it's also planed off. There's a difference between a rock that's been tumbling around in the creek and is smooth, rather than one that's been used for grinding or has been ground smooth on purpose, usually so it can be used for grinding later, where you get this, it's planed off like a flat surface, like a flat planed surface, more than a rock that's just been tumbled around in a creek. So parts of this, like over here, it's real bumpy, and you can feel that it's not the same smoothness as these areas that have been used a little bit for grinding, which is like right here on this, and then all across here too, although it's not used so much or ground so much that there's not there's a divot here. And again, I'll shoot some B-roll looking across this surface so you can kind of see the difference. Now, people get real excited over these kind of artifacts. It's pretty neat to be walking around in the woods and find something that someone used, could be thousands of years ago, and used as a tool, like a person. This was part of someone's life. It was part of someone's subsistence and their lifestyle, and that's pretty neat. But leave the stuff. Don't pick it up. It's cool where it is. It serves no purpose, to us to have it sitting around our house, really. It's not like I've never picked up an artifact. I have some stuff kicking around or whatever, but typically I think we should just leave this stuff in place and not pick it up. I think it's cool to have it out here. And, I'm going to run across this again. I'll probably completely forget that I ever saw it. And someday I'll be walking out here and I'll go, oh, cool, there's an artifact, and I'll check it out again and then forget about it again and just leave it here. So I don't usually pick that stuff up, and I don't think other people really should either, for the most part. But pretty neat to just run into something like that.